The Jimmy Z Show.
All right, next on the Jimmy Z Show, I am very pleased and honored to have David Limbaugh, author of Crimes Against Liberty, a fascinating book and disturbing as well. David, welcome to the Jimmy Z Show.
Jimmy Z, thanks for having me on.
Well, you know, there's a lot to talk about, and we have a fairly limited amount of time, so I think we'll get right into it. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat in reading your book is that the introduction, which I think runs about 8 or 10 pages, is a list of what we have watched since Obama was inaugurated, promises made, lies told. It is disturbing beyond words because, as I mentioned off the air, we have a list of things that one would think was part of a Democrat liberal agenda for 15 or 20 years, and it's happened in about 20 months.
Yeah, well, we've been on a gradual march towards socialism for some time, but now, and the liberals in the Democratic Party have been quite to the left, but they've tried to mask it, especially during the campaign season. And Republicans have all too often joined them in compromise in moving to the left, because when you compromise with liberals, you just advance socialism. There's no advancing free markets when you compromise with liberals, no question about that. So Obama comes in, and we see a movement from a gradual slide into socialism into a rapid gallop. And so, as you say, in the last 20 months or so, we have seen the advancement of an agenda that would have taken 10 years or more to occur. And it is disturbing, and it's alarming to the point that we're probably going to see an unprecedented tidal wave in November, and hopefully oust some of these misfits.
You know, you talk about this tsunami that's coming, and I think that while no one should be overconfident, the fact is that many Americans, from the right, from the middle, and some even from the left, have become disturbed because, look, the fact is that there are Democrats who are constitutional, certainly not in Washington, D.C., but throughout the country there are Democrats who are disturbed by what they're seeing here. And comment on what you would expect from them this coming election season.
Well, I don't know. That's a big wild card. You know, I've been disappointed in rank-and-file Democrats for a long time because even where I live in Missouri, a lot of them protest that they are conservative. I said, well, how can you possibly then be a Democrat? Well, I've always been a Democrat, and Democrats are for the little guy, and we're really conservative. And yet, they always vote for Democrats, and Democrat office holders are almost always liberal. So it doesn't count much for me when I hear people profess to be one thing and then they do something in service to another. Mm-hmm. And I don't see many Democrats, as a general rule, defecting. And I see even some Democrats defending what Obama's doing. We are seeing a peeling away of the independents in droves as we prepare for this election. I don't know exactly how Democrats are going to do. I hope and pray that a lot of them will peel off and not support this guy merely because he's a Democrat, and that they will also vote to save the republic, which is what this boils down to. But I really don't know, and I don't go around polling Democrats and talking to them. I have no idea. Do you have any information on the polling data on whether these people splitting off are Democrats, disaffected conservatives who have stayed home, or independents? Do you have any info on that?
Well, I have friends here in Southern California who are liberal Democrats, and while they're very likely to vote for Jerry Brown, for instance, they have expressed some reluctance to go along with everything Obama is doing because the questions about the constitutionality of Obama's agenda, of the things that he's pursued from the White House, of the things that the Democrats have been pursuing with Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and the president are clearly, at the very best, questionable in terms of the Constitution.
Yeah, but I mean, the Democrats heretofore haven't cared much about the Constitution. It's an end justifies the means instrument, an instrument that is meant to be changed over time, and it's not a structural document of government powers and limitations, according to them. It's whatever they can use it for to achieve their ends, and when we see that in the various editorial writings in support of the radical judicial lawmaking that our Supreme Court and other appellate courts engage in. So I don't know. I mean, for example, what's Jerry Brown going to do? Is Jerry Brown an Obama enthusiast?
Well, we just heard an amazing tape just a couple of days ago, posted by Breitbart, where Jerry Brown espoused that as soon as he becomes governor, he wants to make college and university education available to students, whether they are documented or undocumented.
Yeah,
His
see,
words.
I mean, these friends of yours voting for Jerry Brown. I mean, that's not much comfort.
No,
I mean, the guy's a flake.
No, not at all. This is something that I have a problem with, because for someone to say that they do believe in the Constitution and what the founders started, and then to vote for candidates like Obama or Brown runs in the entirely opposite direction.
Liberals believe in the Constitution to the extent that it serves their ends. They believe in freedom to the extent that it serves their ends. For example, as I talk about in the book, Obama appoints Elena Kagan to the Supreme Court, and she believes that if there is an overabundance of speech, her words, such as too much conservative talk radio, government can unskew it, meaning suppress it, change it, to conform with the government's ends. That's not free speech. That's selectively protecting a certain content of speech. Cal Sunstein believes, as I talk about in the book Crimes Against Liberty, that you can engage in cognitive infiltration. Again, his words, where you go onto websites and post comments that are favorable to the administration while pretending to be a private citizen. And here you are working in the government. Or the Department of Justice has a blog squad operating in the bowels of justice, which is, by the way, supposed to be administering equal justice under the law, and they're making blog posts in favor of the administration, pretending to be private citizens. So do you think it bothers Obama that he and his Justice Department, who are leading this thing, dismiss a case that has already been won against the new Black Panther Party members for voter intimidation, because there is an unwritten law at Justice saying that white people cannot be victims of black voter intimidation? So that tells you that they don't believe in equal justice under the law, that they don't believe in civil rights as applied across the board indiscriminately as to race and gender and ethnicity. They believe in tipping the scales, using justice to tip the scales politically in favor of select categories and groups. And that's dangerous, and that's completely contrary to constitutional principle. But we see that over and over. It's what Democrats want to use Obamacare to redistribute wealth. Obama's appointed Donald Berwick to head the CMS or whatever it is, and the guy has said that that nationalized health care, is nothing if not a mechanism by which we need to redistribute wealth in this country. Not even about health care. It's about health care, but it's also about redistributing wealth. It's a vehicle to redistribute. Do you think there's anywhere in the Constitution even authorizing the government to get involved in health care, number one?
Yeah.
But number two, if they do, to redistribute wealth? I mean, we've gone so far afield. I'd like to see a Democrat constitutionalist in front of my face so I could, take a snapshot.
Yeah.
And preserve it.
No, I agree with that.